Captain HFY stared at the red warning symbol on her screen. The bright crimson mark covered the entire Sol system like a disease. Every star chart in the galaxy showed the same thing. Dead zone. Entry forbidden. No exceptions. She had been studying dead worlds for months now. The Galactic Council wanted to find planets they could bring back to life. Most dead worlds were boring. Old planets where the sun had died. Frozen rocks where the air had leaked away into space. But Sol 3 was different. The energy readings made no sense. Dead worlds should be cold and dark. This planet glowed with power. Radio waves leaked from its surface like water from a broken pipe. The readings showed cities and movement and life, but the records said everyone on Sol 3 had died 300 years ago. A terrible plague had killed everything. The planet was poisoned and dangerous. The Council had put warning satellites around the whole system to keep ships away. HFY had read the old reports many times. The language was formal and cold. Complete biological collapse. Total ecosystem failure. Immediate quarantine required for galactic safety. But something felt wrong about the words. They sounded like someone trying too hard to make others afraid. She turned to look at her crew. They were not the best soldiers or scientists in the fleet. Kree was a mechanic who had been caught stealing parts. Vorth was a communications officer who asked too many questions about classified missions. Nell was a pilot who had crashed 3 ships in training. They were the kind of crew that got sent to study dead planets because no one expected them to find anything important. But HFY liked them. They were curious. They wanted to know why things worked the way they did. And right. Now they all wanted to know why the energy readings from Sol 3 looked like a living world. "Captain," Kree said from his station, "I have been looking at the power signatures from that planet. They match the patterns we see from Class 7 civilizations." "That is impossible," Vorth said. "Class 7 means millions of people. Cities. Everywhere. Space travel. The records say nothing lives there." "Maybe the records are wrong," Nell said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. In the Galactic Council, records were never wrong. The Council had been keeping track of every world for thousands of years. Their computers knew everything about every planet that had ever been discovered. "Records are not wrong," HFY said, slowly. "But sometimes they do not tell the whole truth." She pulled up the original quarantine order on her screen. The document was old and hard to read. Most of it was in formal council language that said very little. But one line caught her. "Attention! For the protection of galactic civilization and the preservation of universal peace." Strange words for a plague quarantine. Usually the warnings talked about disease and contamination. This sounded like they were afraid of something else. "Captain," Vorth said, "I am picking up radio signals from the Sol system." "That is impossible. Dead worlds do not broadcast. I know. But listen to this." A sound filled the bridge. It was music, not the formal tones that most galactic species used for communication. This was wild and complex and beautiful. Voices sang in harmony over instruments that created sounds HFY had never heard before. "How old is this signal?" she asked. "It is happening right now. Live transmission from Sol 3. The crew sat in silence. A dead world did not make music. A poisoned planet did not have people singing and playing instruments. Someone had lied to them. "There is more," Vorth continued. "I am detecting thousands of different broadcast sources. News programs, entertainment, educational content, private communications. This world has a complete planetary communication network." HFY felt her heart racing. In all her years as a ship captain, she had never found anything like this. A living world that the galaxy thought was dead. A civilization that had been hidden for 3 centuries. "Captain," Kree said. "What do we do?" She knew what they were supposed to do. Follow orders, stay away from the quarantine zone, file a report that said they had found nothing unusual, go back to cataloging truly dead worlds. But she also knew what she wanted to do. Find out the truth. learn why the Council had hidden an entire civilization from the galaxy, discover what was so dangerous about Sol 3 that it had to be marked as a dead zone. Plot a course for the Sol system, she said. Captain, that is a direct violation of Council orders, Vorth warned. I know. We could be court-martialed, imprisoned. Our families could lose their citizenship. I know. The automatic defense systems around that system will fire on any ship. That gets too close. I know. She turned to face her crew. These misfits and outcasts who had been assigned to her because no one else wanted them. They were looking at her with fear and excitement and hope. But we are scientists, she said. Our job is to find the truth. And right now, the truth is broadcasting music from a world that is supposed to be dead. Nell began entering coordinates into the navigation system. It will take us 6 days to reach the Sol system boundary. Good. That gives us time to study the signals and prepare for what we might find. As the ship turned toward the forbidden system, HFY wondered what they would discover. The Council had many secrets. Some were kept to protect people from dangerous knowledge. Others were kept to protect the Council from people who might ask dangerous questions. But she had never found a secret this big before. An entire world hidden from the galaxy. A civilization that had been erased from official history. People who were supposed to be dead, but were very much alive. The music from Sol 3 continued to play over the ship's speakers. It was strange and alien, but somehow familiar. Like something she had heard in dreams. The voices sang about love and loss and hope and dreams. Universal feelings that every intelligent species understood. Captain, Vorth said, I am detecting more signals. These appear to be news broadcasts. Can you understand them? The translation computer is working on it, but I am picking up words that suggest conflict, war, fighting. Fighting who? I do not know. The signals are too complex to translate quickly. HFY nodded. Most galactic civilizations were peaceful. The Council made sure of that. Species that fought too much were not allowed to join galactic society. They were isolated until they learned to behave properly. Maybe that was what had happened to Sol 3. Maybe they had been quarantined not because of plague, but because they were too violent, too dangerous, too unwilling to follow Council rules. But if that was true, why lie about it? Why not simply list them as a restricted military threat? The Council had done that with dozens of other species. 6 days to answers, she said to herself. The ship continued toward the forbidden system. Behind them, the normal galaxy went about its business. Millions of worlds following Council law. Billions of people who never questioned what they were told. Ahead of them lay the unknown, a world that sang in the darkness, a civilization that had been hidden from the stars, and maybe, just maybe, the most important discovery in galactic history. The red warning symbol still glowed on her screen. Dead zone, entry forbidden, but Captain HFY had never been very good at following rules. The warning satellites appeared on their screens like angry red eyes, ancient machines left by the Council to guard the forbidden system. They had been floating in space for 3 centuries, sending the same message over and over. Warning, Sol. System quarantined. Biological hazard. Turn back immediately. But Captain HFY had studied these satellites during the long journey. They were old models. Their sensors could see ships but could not identify what kind of ships they were, and they had one major weakness. They only watched for ships coming directly toward the system. Take us around the back side of that gas giant, she told Nell. The pilot nodded and changed course. Their ship disappeared behind the massive planet. The satellites lost track of them immediately. Now we go in quiet, HFY said, all power to minimum. No active scans, no communications. They drifted through space like a piece of space junk, slowly moving deeper into the forbidden system. past planets that should have been dead but showed clear signs of mining and construction, past moons that had structures built on their surfaces, and then they saw Sol 3. By the ancient stars, Kree whispered. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans, reflected sunlight like mirrors. White clouds swirled in perfect spirals. Green and brown land masses were clearly visible. But most amazing of all were the lights. Even on the day side of the planet, they could see the glow of cities. Massive urban areas that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Transportation networks that formed glowing webs across entire continents. And in orbit around the planet, hundreds of artificial structures, space stations, communication satellites, what looked like construction platforms building even larger structures. This was not a dead world. This was a thriving civilization at the peak of its development. Vorth, are you getting this recorded? HFY asked. Yes, Captain. But I am also detecting something else. We are being scanned. By who? Unknown. Monsieur, scan is very sophisticated, much more advanced than our own sensors. HFY felt her heart jump. If the humans had detected them, their secret approach had failed. But nothing happened. No weapons fired at them. No warnings were broadcast. The scans continued for a few minutes and then stopped. They know we are here, Nell said. Yes, but they are not attacking. Maybe they want to see what we do next. What do we do next? That was a good question. HFY had planned to observe, from a distance and gather information. But now that the humans knew they were there, everything had changed. Continue passive observation, she decided. Record everything. If they want to talk to us, they will make contact. For the next several hours, they watched and listened. The radio traffic from Sol 3 was incredible. Thousands of different channels broadcasting news, entertainment, education, and private communications. The translation computer worked overtime trying to make sense of it all. Slowly, a picture began to form of the civilization below. The humans called their world Earth. They had a single government that represented all. The different nations and cultures on the planet, their population was in the billions. They had spread to other planets in their system and were building colonies on moons and asteroids. But most interesting of all, they had been trying to contact other intelligent species for decades. Captain, listen to this, Vorth said. He played a translated broadcast from what appeared to be a news program. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the Deep Space Communication Project. For 5 decades, Earth has been sending messages to the stars, hoping to make contact with other intelligent life. Despite our best efforts and most powerful transmitters, we have received no response. Some scientists believe we may be alone in the universe. Others think that alien civilizations may be too far away to detect our signals. HFY felt sick. For 50 years, the humans had been calling out to the galaxy, and the galaxy had been ordered to ignore them. The Council had received their messages, but had chosen to pretend Sol 3 was dead. There is more, Vorth continued. Another broadcast began. The Space Defense Force announced today that long-range sensors have detected what appears to be artificial objects at the edge of our solar system. Military officials believe these may be automated probes from an unknown civilization. However, all attempts to communicate with these objects have failed. The satellites. The humans had found the quarantine satellites and tried to talk to them. But the machines had been programmed to ignore all communication attempts. They know something is out there, Kree said. They know they are not alone. But they do not know about the galaxy, HFY realized. They do not know about the Council or the thousands of civilizations that surround them. They think they are isolated in empty space. She began to understand how cruel the quarantine really was. The humans were intelligent and curious. They wanted to explore and learn and meet other species. But they had been trapped in their own system for 3 centuries, not knowing that a vast galactic community existed just beyond their reach. Captain, Nell said urgently, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Long-range sensors show ships approaching the system. Big ships, Council fleet markers. HFY checked her displays. A full battle group was heading towards Sol at maximum. Speed! 12 heavy cruisers and a command dreadnought. Enough firepower to destroy anything in the system. How long until they arrive? 18 hours. Why are they coming now? I think they detected our presence when we crossed the quarantine boundary, Vorth said. The satellites may have sent an automatic alert. She realized their secret mission had just become a disaster. The Council fleet would arrive expecting to find an empty system with a single unauthorized ship. Instead, they would find a thriving human civilization that clearly knew something was happening. What are your orders, Captain? Kree asked. HFY looked at the beautiful planet below. Billions of people who had no idea that a military fleet was approaching with orders to enforce the quarantine. People who had spent decades trying to make friends with the galaxy, only to be ignored and isolated. We have to warn them. Captain, that is a direct violation of first contact protocols. The protocols assume we are dealing with a primitive species that needs protection. These humans have space travel and advanced technology. They deserve to know what is coming. The Council will execute us for unauthorized contact. The Council has been lying about this entire system for 3 centuries. Maybe it is time someone told the truth. She turned to Vorth. Open a communication channel to SOL-3, all frequencies. Full translation matrix. Are you sure about this, Captain? No, but I am sure that leaving them defenseless against a battle fleet is wrong. The communication array came to life. For the first time in 300 years, someone from the galaxy was about to speak directly to the humans of Earth. This is Captain HFY of the Galactic Survey Vessel Wanderer's Dream. We are representatives of the Galactic Council. We need to speak with your leaders immediately. You are in great danger. The response was immediate. Every communication channel on the planet went silent. Then, after a few minutes, a single voice replied, "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, Director of Xenobiological Research, speaking for the Earth Defense Council. We have been waiting for this call for a very long time." The voice was calm but excited, and underneath the excitement, HFY heard something else. Suspicion. The humans were happy to finally make contact, but they were also wondering why it had taken so long. Dr. Chen, I need to explain the situation quickly. A Council military fleet will arrive in your system in 18 hours. They believe your world is uninhabited. Why would they think that? HFY took a deep breath. Because your planet has been classified as a dead zone for the past 300 years. The official records say a plague killed everyone here. There was a long silence. When Dr. Chen spoke again, her voice had changed completely. Are you telling me that your people have known we existed for 3 centuries and chose to ignore us? Yes. And now a military fleet is coming to our system? Yes. Another. Silence. Longer this time. Dr. Chen, I am here. I am just processing the fact that we have been quarantined like diseased animals. The anger in her voice was clear even through the translation, and HFY could not blame her. The humans had every right to be furious. Dr. Chen, the fleet will arrive soon. You need to prepare your people. Oh, we will prepare. We have been preparing for decades. Ever since we found those satellites, we knew someone was watching us. We just did not know who or why. What do you mean, preparing? Captain HFY, you may want to update your files on human civilization. We have changed quite a bit in the last 300 years. Dr. Sarah Chen appeared on the main screen of their ship. She was a small woman with dark hair and intelligent eyes. Behind her, HFY could see a massive command center filled with humans working at complex computer stations. Everything looked clean and efficient and very advanced. Captain HFY, I want to thank you for warning us about the incoming fleet, Dr. Chen said. But before we discuss our response, I have some questions. Of course. I will tell you whatever I can. 300 years ago, what happened to make your council decide we were dead? HFY pulled up the historical files on her computer. According to our records, A plague swept through your population in the year 2157. Total biological collapse occurred within 6 months. All life on the planet was declared extinct. Dr. Chen nodded slowly. 2157. That is an interesting year to choose. What happened in 2157? That was the year the colony ship New Horizon launched from Earth, our first attempt to establish a permanent settlement outside this solar system. HFY felt confused. A colony ship? But the records say your entire population died. Our population grew by 8 billion people between 2157 and today. We are very much alive, Captain. The question is why your council wanted the galaxy to think otherwise. She gestured to someone off-screen. A moment later, another human appeared. He was older and wore a military uniform covered with medals and rank insignia. This is Admiral Marcus Webb, head of the Earth Defense Force. Admiral, please tell our new friend about the New Horizon. The Admiral stepped forward. His face was hard and serious. The New Horizon launched with 12,000 colonists and crew. Their mission was to establish our first interstellar colony. 6 months after launch, we received their final transmission. What did it say? HFY asked. Quote, "We have made contact with representatives of a galactic government. They are demanding our surrender and submission to their authority. They want to place Earth under something called a protectorate agreement. We have refused. They are moving to intercept us. If you do not hear from us again, assume we are dead. Prepare Earth for contact. Do not trust them." End quote. HFY stared at the screen. That is not in our records. I am sure it is not, Dr. Chen said coldly. Tell me, Captain, what is a protectorate agreement? HFY knew she should not answer. Protectorate agreements were classified council policy. But looking at the anger in the humans' faces, she realized they deserve to know the truth. When the Council discovers a new intelligent species, they offer protection and guidance. In exchange, the new species agrees to follow Council law and provide resources and labor as requested. Slavery, Admiral Webb said bluntly. No, it is a partnership, where one partner has all the power and the other has no choice, Dr. Chen finished. Yes, that sounds like slavery to me. HFY felt uncomfortable. She had never thought of protectorate agreements that way before. The Council always said they were helping primitive species develop safely. But when she imagined someone forcing her people into such an arrangement, it did sound wrong. What happened to the New Horizon? She asked. Admiral Webb's expression became even harder. We never found out for certain. But 3 months after their final transmission, we detected a massive energy explosion approximately where their ship should have been. No debris, no survivors, no explanation. And then the satellites appeared, Dr. Chen added. Machines that broadcast warnings about biological contamination and death. Machines that jammed our communications whenever we tried to send messages to other stars. The pieces were falling into place. The New Horizon had encountered a council fleet. They had refused to submit to a protectorate agreement. There had been a fight. The humans had lost. And the council had decided to hide the whole incident by declaring Earth a dead zone. You were not quarantined because of plague, HFY said quietly. You were quarantined because you said no. That is what we figured out, Dr. Chen confirmed. Your council does not like species that refuse to kneel. But that was 300 years ago. Why maintain the quarantine for so long? Admiral Webb smiled grimly, because they were afraid of what we might become if left alone. Before HFY could ask what he meant, alarms began sounding throughout the human command center. Technicians called out reports in rapid succession. Admiral, long-range sensors show 13 ships dropping out of hyperspace at the system boundary. Configuration matches Galactic Council battle group formation. Lead ship is broadcasting on emergency channels. Put it through, Admiral Webb ordered. A new voice filled the communication channel. It spoke with the authority of absolute power. This is Fleet Commander Vorthak of the Galactic Council Navy. Unknown vessel in the Sol system, you are in violation of quarantine protocols. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Dr. Chen looked at HFY. That would be your friends. They are not exactly friends right now, HFY admitted. Admiral Webb stepped closer to the screen. Captain HFY, I want you to understand something very important. For 3 centuries, we have known that someone was watching us. Someone who considered us a threat. Someone who wanted us isolated and contained. Yes. Do you know what humans do when they are threatened? No. We prepare for war. The screen changed to show a tactical display of the Sol system. HFY gasped. The display showed hundreds of ships moving throughout the system, not the primitive vessels she had expected, but sleek warships that looked more advanced than anything in the Council fleet. Those are all human ships? Just the ones we want you to see, Dr. Chen said. We have been building our military for 3 centuries, Captain. We knew someone would come eventually. We wanted to be ready. Admiral Webb activated another display. This one showed the Council fleet approaching through space. 13 ships against our entire civilization. They really do not understand what they are dealing with. Admiral, please, HFY said urgently. The Council fleet has orders to maintain the quarantine. If you reveal your military strength, they will call for reinforcements. This could become a war. Captain, Dr. Chen said softly. This became a war the moment your people decided we were too dangerous to exist. Fleet Commander Vorthak's voice came over the communication channel again. Unknown vessel, you have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal from the quarantine zone. Admiral Webb looked at Dr. Chen. She nodded. Open a channel to the Council fleet, the Admiral ordered. Channel open, sir. Admiral Webb stepped forward and spoke clearly into the transmitter. Fleet Commander Vorthak, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force. You are entering our solar system without permission. We demand that you explain your presence immediately. Silence filled the communication channel. Then Vorthak's voice returned, confused and angry. Impossible. Sol 3 is a dead world. There are no survivors. Commander, I am standing on the surface of Earth speaking to you right now. We have a population of 12 billion people and a space fleet of over 3,000 ships. We are very much alive. Another long silence. This is some kind of trick. Sol 3 was sterilized centuries ago. Dr. Chen took control of the communication system. Commander Vorthak, we are transmitting our complete planetary database to your ships right now. Population records, industrial output, military strength, everything you need to understand that your records are wrong. This is impossible, Vorthak repeated, but his voice now carried a note of fear. Commander, Admiral Webb said, you have exactly 10 minutes to explain why your government has been lying about our existence for 300 years. After that, we will consider your presence in our system an act of war. HFY watched her. Screens in horror. The situation was spinning out of control. The Council fleet had expected to find an empty system with a single survey ship. Instead, they were facing a major human civilization that knew about the quarantine and was very angry about it. Captain HFY, Dr. Chen said, I suggest you move your ship away from our planet immediately. When shooting starts, we would prefer not to hit innocent bystanders. Dr. Chen, please, there has to be another way. There was another way 300 years ago. Your people chose violence then. Now they have to live with the consequences. On her tactical display, HFY could see the human ships moving into position around the Council fleet. They moved with precision and coordination that spoke of decades of training and preparation. The humans had not spent 3 centuries in isolation, doing nothing. They had spent 3 centuries getting ready for exactly this moment, and from the look of their ships and the confidence in their voices, they were more than ready. Fleet Commander Vorthak's voice cracked through the communication system. The confident authority was gone. Now he sounded confused and desperate. This is impossible. Our records clearly state that Sol 3 suffered complete biological collapse in 2157. All life forms extinct. Planet declared permanently uninhabitable. Admiral Webb's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, human technicians worked at their stations with calm efficiency. Commander, your records are lies. We have 12 billion people on this planet and colonies throughout this star system. Prove it, Vorthak demanded. Dr. Chen stepped forward. We are transmitting complete documentation now. Population census data, industrial production reports, military fleet registers, scientific research databases. Everything you need to confirm that we are very much alive. HFY watched the data stream flowing between Earth and the Council fleet. Thousands of files containing proof of human civilization. Birth records showing billions of people. Construction projects spanning decades. Research into advanced technology that rivaled anything the Council possessed. Commander, she said into her communicator, the data appears to be genuine. This is not a primitive civilization. They have technology equal to our own. That is impossible, Vorthak repeated. No species develops that quickly without counsel. Guidance. Admiral Webb laughed bitterly. Commander, we have had 300 years to develop without your guidance, and we have been very busy. Show him the historical files, Dr. Chen ordered someone off screen. New information began flowing to the Council ships, but this time it was not current data about human civilization. It was historical records, documents that had been carefully preserved for 3 centuries. HFY accessed the files and began reading. What she found made her stomach turn. The records showed everything. The New Horizon colony ship launching from Earth in 2157. The first contact with Council ships near the Alpha Centauri system. The negotiations that went wrong when the humans refused to accept protectorate status. And then the battle. The New Horizon had been a colony ship, not a warship. But it carried 12,000 humans who refused to surrender. When the Council fleet moved to capture them, they fought back. They turned their mining equipment into weapons. They used their construction robots as soldiers. They converted their engines into bombs. The fight lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the New Horizon was destroyed, but so were 2 Council heavy cruisers and a command ship. A colony vessel had taken down 3 military warships before being overwhelmed. By the ancient stars, HFY whispered. You see the problem, Dr. Chen said. Your people discovered that humans do not surrender, even when facing impossible odds, even when facing certain death. We fight, but the historical files contained more than just the battle report. They showed what happened next. The Council's response to losing 3 warships to a single colony ship, emergency meetings of the High Council, debates about how to handle a species that refused to submit, arguments about whether to invade Earth or simply destroy it from orbit, and then the decision. Earth would be declared a dead zone. All records of human civilization would be classified. The galaxy would be told that a plague had killed everyone. No one would ever know that humans existed. They were afraid of you, HFY realized. Not afraid of us, Admiral Webb corrected. Afraid of what we represented. A species that would not kneel. A people who preferred death to slavery. But why maintain the lie for 3 centuries? Dr. Chen pulled up another set of files. Because they knew what would happen if they left us alone for that long. The new files showed human development over the past 300 years. Scientific breakthroughs that had taken other species millennia to achieve. Industrial growth that dwarfed entire galactic sectors. Military technology that had evolved far beyond Council standards. You see, Captain, Admiral Webb explained, the Council makes a fundamental mistake about intelligent species. They assume that guidance and protection are necessary for advancement. They believe that without their oversight, primitive species will destroy themselves or stagnate forever. But humans are different, Dr. Chen continued. We thrive under pressure. We grow stronger when challenged. We advance faster when we have to solve problems ourselves. The data streaming from Earth proved their point. In 3 centuries of isolation, humanity had developed fusion power, antimatter engines, gravity manipulation, and weapon systems that could turn entire moons into projectiles. "Commander Vorthak," Admiral Webb called out, "are you reading these files?" "This cannot be accurate," the commander replied. "No species develops this rapidly." "We did, and do you know why?" Silence from the Council fleet. "Because we knew you were coming." Every human child grows up learning about the new horizon. Every human scientist works to develop better technology. Every human soldier trains to defend our world. For 300 years, our entire civilization has been preparing for the day when your council would return. HFY accessed more of the human files. What she found was terrifying and impressive at the same time. Humans had built their entire society around the expectation of galactic contact. Not peaceful contact, hostile contact. Every human city had underground shelters that could protect millions of people. Every human factory could be converted to military production within days. Every human ship could be armed and armored for combat. They had not just survived 3 centuries of isolation. They had used that time to become the most militarized civilization HFY had ever encountered. "Dr. Chen," she said carefully, "what do you want from the Council now?" "What do we want?" Dr. Chen's eyes flashed with anger. "We want the truth. We want the galaxy to know that we exist. We want an end to the quarantine. And we want an explanation for why our people were murdered 3 centuries ago." "The New Horizon crew was not murdered," Vorthak protested. "They were killed in legitimate military action after refusing lawful council authority." "Lawful authority?" Admiral Webb's voice rose. "What law gave you the right to enslave our colonists?" "The same law that governs all galactic relations. The strong guide the weak. The advanced protect the primitive. Order maintains peace." "And what happens when the weak refuse to be guided? When the primitive refuse to be protected?" Another long silence from the Council fleet. "You eliminate them," Dr. Chen said quietly, "just like you tried to eliminate us." HFY realized the full horror of the situation. The Council had not quarantined Earth to protect the galaxy from humans. They had quarantined Earth to hide their attempt at genocide. They had tried to erase an entire species from history because that species would not submit. "Commander Vorthak," she called out, "the humans are right. The Council lied about Sol 3. They lied about the plague. They lied about everything." "Captain HFY, you are under arrest for violating quarantine protocols. Return to formation. Immediately." "No." The word surprised even her, but she realized she meant it. "Captain? No, Commander, I will not help cover up 3 centuries of lies. These people deserve to know the truth. The galaxy deserves to know the truth." "All ships, target the survey vessel," Vorthak ordered. "Prepare to fire." But before the Council ships could lock weapons on HFY's vessel, the human fleet moved. Dozens of warships appeared out of nowhere, surrounding the Council battle group. They moved with impossible speed and precision, like they had been waiting in concealment for exactly this moment. "Commander," Admiral Webb's voice was calm, but deadly serious, "I suggest you reconsider your target selection." The tactical displays showed the situation clearly. 13 Council ships surrounded by over 100 human warships. The humans had superior numbers, superior positioning, and technology that the Council had never seen before. "Dr. Chen," HFY said quickly, "please do not start a war over my ship." "Captain, this is not about your ship. This is about the fact that your commander just ordered the destruction of a vessel that was trying to help us. That tells us everything we need to know about Council intentions." She turned to address the Council fleet directly. "Commander Vorthak, you came to our system expecting to find a dead world. Instead, you found a thriving civilization. Your response was to threaten violence against anyone who told you the truth. That is exactly the behavior we expected from the people who destroyed the New Horizon. Admiral Webb activated another communication channel, this one broadcast on frequencies that reach throughout the galaxy. "Citizens of the Galactic Council," he began. "This is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force. For 300 years, your government has lied to you about our existence. They told you we were dead to hide the fact that they murdered our colonists and quarantined our world." "You cannot broadcast that," Vorthak protested. "We just did. And we are transmitting all the historical files to prove our claims. Every species in the galaxy is about to learn what the Council does to people who refuse to surrender their freedom." HFY realized that everything had changed. This was no longer just about Earth or the quarantine. This was about the entire structure of galactic civilization. The Council's authority was based on the belief that their guidance was necessary and beneficial. But if other species learned that the Council had been willing to commit genocide to maintain control, the galaxy exploded into chaos. Within hours of Admiral Webb's broadcast, every communication network in galactic civilization was flooded with messages. Species that had been under Council protectorate agreements for centuries suddenly had proof that the Council was willing to murder entire populations to maintain control. HFY watched the incoming reports on her ship's communication array. Riots on 17 different worlds. 3 species formally withdrawing from Council authority. Emergency sessions of planetary governments across dozens of star systems. "Captain," Vorth called from his station, "I am receiving priority messages from the Council High Command. They want us to deny everything we have seen." "What are our orders?" Quote, "Report that Sol 3 remains uninhabited. Confirm that all energy readings were caused by automated systems left behind by the plague victims. Make no mention of contact with survivors." End quote. HFY looked at the orders and laughed bitterly. Even now, facing the collapse of their authority, the Council wanted to maintain the lie. "Send a reply," she told Vorth. "Tell them that I am a scientist, not a liar. If they want false reports, they can write them themselves." On the main screen, Dr. Chen was coordinating humanity's response to 3 centuries of isolation. The woman, who had seemed calm and professional during first contact, now revealed herself as a master strategist. "Admiral Webb, what is the status of our deep space monitoring stations? All networks are active and recording. We are tracking every ship, movement within 50 light-years of Earth." "Good. How many Council reinforcement fleets are heading our way?" "Long-range sensors show 3 additional battle groups converging on our position. Estimated arrival time is 18 hours. Dr. Chen nodded calmly. "Then we have 18 hours to change the entire structure of galactic civilization." She turned to address both HFY and the Council fleet that still surrounded Earth. "Commander Vorthak, I assume you have reported our existence to your superiors by now?" "The High Council has been informed of the situation," the commander admitted reluctantly. "And what were your orders?" Silence. "Commander, we are monitoring all your communications. We know exactly what the High Council told you to do." Vorthak's voice became defensive. "Our orders are to contain the situation until additional forces arrive. Your orders are to destroy every human in this system and then report that the quarantine was successfully maintained," Admiral Webb corrected. "We have recordings of your encrypted communications." The humans had been listening to everything. Every message between the Council fleet and High Command. Every strategic discussion. Every plan to eliminate the evidence of humanity's survival. "You cannot monitor Council military communications," Vorthak protested. "Commander, we have been monitoring your communications for 3 centuries. How do you think we knew exactly when you would arrive?" Dr. Chen activated a new display that showed intercepted Council messages going back decades. Military planning. Sessions. Strategic assessments. Discussions about what to do if the Sol 3 quarantine was ever breached. "Your people have been planning our extinction for a long time," she said. "The only question was when you would get around to it." HFY studied the intercepted messages. The language was cold and bureaucratic, but the intent was clear. If humans were ever discovered to be alive, they would be eliminated immediately. Not relocated, not re-educated, eliminated. "Dr. Chen," she said, "what are you going to do when the reinforcement fleets arrive?" The human woman smiled, and for the first time, HFY saw why the council had been afraid of her species. "Captain, do you know what humans call it when someone attacks our home? No. Target practice." Admiral Webb activated the tactical displays. What they showed made HFY gasp in surprise. The Sol system was not just defended by the ships they had seen earlier. Hidden throughout the system were thousands of additional vessels, space stations that were actually weapons platforms, asteroid mining operations that were actually military bases, entire moons that had been converted into fortress installations. 3 centuries is a long time to prepare, Admiral Webb explained. "We have turned our entire star system into the most heavily defended location in the galaxy. But the Council is bringing over 100 ships. Captain, we could handle 1,000 ships. The real question is what happens after we destroy them." "Doctor," Chen leaned forward. "That is where you come in, Captain HFY." "Me? You are the only Council representative who has told the truth about what you found here. That makes you valuable to us." "I do not understand." "We need someone to carry a message back to the galaxy. Someone who can speak for us in council chambers. Someone who can help prevent this conflict from becoming a war of extinction." HFY felt confused. "What message?" Admiral Webb answered. "The message is simple. Humanity is no longer hiding. We are no longer contained. We are taking our place in galactic civilization whether the Council likes it or not. And if the Council refuses to accept that, then the galaxy will learn what happens when you try to enslave a species that refuses to kneel." Dr. Chen activated another communication array. This one was more powerful than anything HFY had ever seen. The signal reached across the entire galaxy. "Citizens of all species," Dr. Chen began. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen speaking from Earth. 300 years ago, your council tried to destroy us because we would not submit to their authority. They failed. We survived. We grew strong. And now, we offer you a choice." The transmission carried to thousands of star systems. Billions of intelligent beings across the galaxy heard her words. "You can continue to live under Council rule, accepting whatever scraps of freedom they choose to give you. Or you can join us in building a new kind of galactic civilization, one based on cooperation between equals instead of submission to authority." "This is treason," Vorthak protested. "This is revolution," Admiral Webb corrected. On HFY's communication displays, responses were already coming in from across the galaxy. Some were angry denials from Council loyalists, but others were expressions of support. Species that had been under protectorate agreements for centuries were suddenly asking questions about human technology and human ideas about freedom. "Dr. Chen," HFY said, "you realize what you are starting?" "We are not starting anything, Captain. We are finishing something that began 300 years ago when your people decided we were too dangerous to exist. The Council will never accept an independent human civilization. Then the Council will learn what happens when they threaten our independence." Admiral Webb brought up long-range sensor data. "Captain, those reinforcement fleets that are heading our way, they represent about 40% of the Council's total military strength. They are bringing everything they have," HFY realized. "Yes, because they know that if we survive this battle, everything changes. Other species will demand independence. The protectorate system will collapse. The Council's authority will end. And if they destroy you, they will have to explain to the galaxy why they murdered 12 billion people to maintain their power. Either way, their authority ends." Dr. Chen turned back to the main communication array. Captain HFY, we are offering you safe passage. Out of this system. You can return to Council space and report everything you have seen. Tell them that humanity is not going away. Tell them that we are not hiding anymore. What if I refuse to carry your message? Then you can stay here and watch what happens when a free people defend their home against slavers. On her tactical display, HFY could see the Council reinforcement fleets approaching. Over 100 warships converging on the Sol system, the largest military operation in Council history, but she could also see the human preparations. Defensive. Positions throughout the system. Weapon systems that defied conventional understanding of physics. Technology that had been developed by a species that refused to surrender. Dr. Chen, if I carry your message, the Council will probably execute me. Possibly. But if you do not carry our message, the Council will definitely execute billions of people, including everyone on this planet. The choice was clear. HFY could try to save her own life by staying silent, or she could try to prevent a genocide by telling the truth. Open a channel to all ships in this system, she ordered Vorth. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain HFY to all Council vessels. I am ordering immediate withdrawal from the Sol system. Captain, you do not have the authority to give that order, Vorthak protested. Commander, I am the senior science officer present. Under Council regulations, I have authority to call off military operations that threaten valuable scientific discoveries. What discoveries? The discovery that the Council has been lying to the galaxy for 3 centuries. The discovery that we are not the benevolent protectors we claim to be. The discovery that there is an entire human civilization that we tried to murder. She turned to Dr. Chen. I will carry your message to the galaxy, but I want something in return. What do you want? I want proof that humans are not the monsters the Council claims you are. I want evidence that you can coexist peacefully with other species. Dr. Chen smiled. Captain, you are looking at that evidence. We have known about the galaxy for 3 centuries. We have had the technology to attack Council worlds for decades, but we never fired the first shot. We